actually it is a revision class. ഇതൊരു റിവിഷൻ ക്ലാസ് ആണ്. നമ്മൾ we had already discussed about the preamble of the constitution. So first of all, what is actually a constitution or constitutional law means, even though the term constitution is not defined in Indian constitution. When you consider the definition clause of Indian constitution, as mentioned under Article 366 of Indian Constitution. In Article 366 of Indian Constitution, even not define the term Indian Constitution. So how can we define the term Constitution, and what is actually the legal definition of Indian Constitution? Because there is no such definition of Indian Constitution which is specifically mentioned in Indian Constitution. But Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, a great scholar and teacher and the former president of India, he mentioned about the meaning of the Constitution, because Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan said that a constitution is a fundamental law of the nation, and it should be embodied and express the dream and the passion and the ideals and aspiration of the people. It must be based on the consent of all and respect the right of all people who belong to this great nation. So this is something which is mentioned by Dr. Radhakrishnan, and another important concept of constitution was explained by Thomas Paine, who was one of the founding father of American Constitution, in his book Right of Man, and which is available online. When you Google Right of Man, you will get the content of the book. And in that book, Thomas Paine explained about the what is the Constitution, because Thomas Paine in his book Right of Man explained about the Constitution as a constitution is not an act of a government, but of the peoples constituting a government. And a government without a constitution is power without right. So this is a very good statement as far as the Constitution is concerned, because Thomas Paine said a constitution is not an act of a government, but of a people constituting a government. And a government without constitution is power without right. A constitution is a thing antecedent to a government, and a government is only a creature of a constitution. So ultimately, the government, the definition of government, that government, according to Thomas Paine, is actually a creature of a constitution. So that is the concept of constitution as explained by Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, an Indian scholar, and Thomas Paine, who is actually an American scholar. And these two definitions are a good definition as far as the Constitution is concerned, because Constitution is something which is fundamentally the basic law of the land. It is actually a backbone of democracy. As you know that every constitutions are basically written constitutions contain a preamble, and Indian Constitution is the largest written constitution law in the world. So the preamble of the Indian Constitution is a very important area, because the preamble reveals the main aim and objectives of the Constitution to be achieved. And what is actually the preamble of Indian Constitution specifically mentioning about? The Constitution, the preamble of the Constitution is broadly, we can see some values, and we can see some definite standards. So what are the standards that we can see in the preamble of the Constitution, and what are the important values that we can see in the Constitution, in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. So that we, the people of India, that having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So these are some of the most important standards that every democracy do have. So what are the standards which are essential for a nation which is governed by the constitution? Is the sovereignty and socialism, secularism, democratic values, and republican nature of the government. But these concepts, these standards are not specifically defined under Article 366 of Indian Constitution, but these are the most important standard of Union of India, as mentioned under Indian Constitution. But we know the meaning of sovereignty because it is underlined in the different part of the Constitution. We know the concept of socialism, and we know the concept of secularism, which is basically there in part 3 and part 4 of the Constitution. And the democratic value is mentioned under different parts of the Constitution. And India is a republican country. It is because it is also mentioned under the Indian Constitution, especially in part 5 of the Constitution. So what are the important values which are there in the Indian Constitution is basically what are the important standards? The standards are those standards which are the responsibility of the government, because the people of India creates India. So India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. That is what is the standard of India. And what is the values which are guaranteed? So this is something which is guaranteed by the citizens to the nation, because we, the people of India, makes our country a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So it is our responsibility to make our India a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And what is actually the responsibility of government, the Union of India, the sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic of India, is to ensure justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So these are the most important values which are essential, which are underlined in the rest of the provision of the Constitution, especially the part 3 and part 4 of the Constitution. That was one of the major reason why the Honorable Supreme Court of India held that the part 3 of the preamble is actually a reflection of part 3 of Indian Constitution, and the preamble is also a reflection of part 4 of Indian Constitution. It was so held in the Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. The Honorable Supreme Court held that the preamble is the reflection of fundamental rights, and in Chandrakumar versus Union of India, in that case, the Honorable Supreme Court held that the preamble is the directive principles of state policies are the reflection of the preamble. So these values are reflected in most important two parts of the Indian Constitution, that is part 3 and part 4 of the Indian Constitution. From these preamble of Indian Constitution and the reflections laid on in part 3 and part 4 of the Indian Constitution, we could rightly say that the Indian Constitution is a book which is so compassionate. So Indian Constitution is a compassionate document because this document contains some great values like social justice, economic justice, and political justice, and that liberty which is inherently there in every human being, and which is reflected in different ways in their thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, and equality in the matter of status and opportunity, and also ensuring the fraternity. and the dignity of individuals and the unity and integrity of the nation. So this is a very important concept. Because of this reason, we can say that the Constitution is a book which is compassionate, and the Constitution is a book that give opportunities, and opportunities in the form of different rights, because these rights are essential for our human development, like the equality, freedom, liberty, dignity of individuals, as laid down in Article 14, 19, and Article 21 of Indian Constitution. So in that, by analyzing the Constitution in that sense, we can rightly say that the Constitution is uh, a book which is compassionate, a compassionate document, and the document which provides opportunities and possibilities. So you know that Ambedkar said Article 32 is the heart and soul of Indian Constitution, but Nehru said the preamble of the Indian Constitution is the heart and soul of Indian Constitution. So we can only analyze all the provisions of the Constitution, especially the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, only in the light of the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Because what is preamble of the Indian Constitution is standards, and what is in the preamble of Indian Constitution is actually values. So you know, the Ambedkar, he is a legendary jurist, and he is actually he was actually a legal scholar, and the father of Indian Constitution. He was more concerned about uh, many important aspects of the Constitution, uh, including democracy. Democracy in the sense means in the democracy in the sense of political democracy and in the sense of social democracy. So these political democracy and the social democracy, which is also mentioned in the preamble of the Indian Constitution, and which is basically reflected on all the aspect of standards of the preamble of Indian Constitution, is reflected on the values of the Constitution, because we can achieve all standards of in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. For example, socialism, secularism, democracy, only by way of ensuring economic, social, and political justice, and by ensuring liberty in thought, faith, worship, and providing equality in the matter of status and opportunity. So this is a very important statement which was made by Dr. Ambedkar, because he said the political democracy cannot last unless there lies at the basis of social democracy. So you have to try to understand the meaning of political democracy and the social democracy, because in politics we will have equality, and in social and economic life we will have inequality. It was a very important statement of Dr. Ambedkar. How do we can achieve that social democracy? All socialist provisions of the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy is actually there for, and the aim of that provisions are social democracy, by providing special protection to the socially and educationally backward classes, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and other vulnerable sections of the society, including women and children, and other sections of the society, including the senior citizens and differently able, and also so many other important rights which are guaranteed for the victims and accused. So that is the one of the major reason why we have to understand the meaning of political democracy and social democracy in its right sense. And he also mentioned the fact that we are going to entering into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, and in social and economic life, we will have inequalities. So we have to understand the meaning of this particular statement, which was expressed by Ambedkar in the light of the preamble and in the light of the fundamental rights. And in politics, we will have recognized the principles of one man, one vote, and one value. Or in our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man and one value. That is a very important statement. That is, we continue to deny the principle of one man and one value. So all the special provision for the weaker section, which has mentioned under the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, is for ensuring the principles of one man and one value. But at the same time, that is frequently denied by the government and irresponsible governments. That is the one of the major reason why we have to think about the real meaning of constitutionalism, which is ultimately aiming to create a just and responsible government, which is fundamentally essential for democracy and for keeping its values. So this is a very important statement that made by Dr. Ambedkar, and he also mentioned the fact that how long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? If we continue to deny it for long, we will do so only for putting our political democracy in peril. So that is a very important statement of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So all these important remarks of Dr. Ambedkar, we can analyze and understand in the light of the preamble of the Constitution and the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. How, and this is also a very important statement because what extent our constitution is good and what extent our constitution is bad, which was also answered by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, because Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that however good a constitution may be, it is sure to turn out bad, because those who are called to work, it happens to be a bad lot. And our bad a constitution may turn out to be a good if those who are called to work out, it happens to be a good lot. So this is a very important statement of Indian Constitution. In a theoretical sense, the Constitution is a perfect document. It is perfect document than any other document ever written in India, because that document contains standards, that document contains values, which is unbiasedly reflected in the part 3 and part 4 of Indian Constitution, which are we call that important rights are inalienable, inseparable, inborn rights, which are essential for our development, and which are essential for our enhancement, which are essential for developing our capabilities, because all these rights are very, very important basic human rights. So So, and this is also a very important statement because we are analyzing the preamble of the Constitution in a theoretical sense and in a practical sense. So the bhakti in religion may be a road to the salvation of the soul, but in politics, bhakti or hero worship is a sure road to degradation and to eventually dictatorship. So this is also a very important thing because we have to understand the most important fact that uh, Indian the constitution is a document which is created by the people and which is specifically mentioned under the preamble of the constitution, we the people of India. So every kind of sovereignty which is lies on the people of this country, and the as Thomas Paine said that the government is actually a creature of the constitution. So one of the most important thing that we have to understand in a democracy is that the real power is vested in the hands of the common people and not the institutions. So sometimes what is actually happening, there is a wrong notion that there is a wrong belief on which is happening in our society, that we are believing the fact that the institutions are more powerful and sometimes individuals are more powerful, but it is actually a wrong notion which is mentioned by Dr. Ambedkar in this particular statement. Because as per the preamble of the Indian Constitution, the real power and sovereignty lies on the people of this country. So he mentioned it in a very simple sense that bhakti in religion is okay because it will lead to salvation, and bhakti in politics because it is a constitution, as you know, that is a political document. And which so in if there is a hero worship, it sure and it will lead to dictatorship. So these are the most important statements. So when you analyze preamble of the constitution, we will understand that the most important interpretations are there on the part of the Supreme Court of India, from the Re Barubari case, then Sajjan Singh and Shankari Prasad case, and then Golaknath case and Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. And then also there are a lot of judgments which are that judgments are very closely related to the preamble of the Indian Constitution, because the Supreme Court of India interpreted the importance of the preamble even in Indira Nehru Gandhi versus Narayan Axelware versus Union of India, Minerva Mills versus Union of India, and also in S.R. Bomme versus Union of India. So this is actually the basic concept of preamble. So it is a very important area, and it is the very important area because of the simple reason that it is a reflection of some of the most important, greatest standards and values which we could see in many important books and documents. So ഇതാണ് പ്രിയാമ്പിളായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് എനിക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്. ആൻഡ് സം ഓഫ് ദി മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ ചോയ്സ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ശ്രുതി എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യും. So Shruti, please explain what are the different important questions from the preamble.
First question is, which one of the following is not a part of the preamble of Indian Constitution? Options: A. Socialism, B. Democratic, C. Secularism, D. Federalism. The answer is option D. Federalism. Explanation: refer preamble of Indian Constitution, The preamble declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Second question is, which of the following words was inserted in the preamble by the 42nd Amendment 1976 in Indian Constitution? Options: Option A, justice. Option B, equality. C, liberty. And D, socialist. Answer is option D, socialist. Explanation: Preamble has been amended by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. This amendment added three new words: socialist, secular, and integrity. Indian form of democratic socialism aims to end poverty, disease, and inequality of opportunity and holds faith in mixed economy. Third question is, given below are two statements. One is labeled as assertion A and the other is labeled as reason R. Assertion A. The term justice in the preamble embraces three distinct forms: social, economic, and political. Reason R. The justice is secured through various provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles. Options. Options A. Both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are correct, and R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is correct, but R is not correct. D. R is correct, but A is not correct. The answer is option A. Both A and R are the correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. Explanation. Refer preamble of Indian Constitution. Social justice means Constitution wants to create a society without any discrimination on caste and religion. Economic justice means no discrimination on the basis of wealth, income, and economic status. Political justice means without any discrimination to participate in political opportunities. Moving to fourth question. Which of the following statements about the preamble is not correct? Options A. The preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted by B.R. Ambedkar. B. It has been amended only once. C. The preamble states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. D. It was adopted 26th November 1949 by the Constituent Assembly. The answer is option A, that the preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted by B.R. Ambedkar. Explanation. The philosophy underlying the Indian Constitution was embodied quite early in the objective resolution. Objective resolution describing the constitutional structure. It was moved in the first session of the Constituent Assembly on 13th December 1946 by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Moving to the fifth question. Which of the following words were added to the preamble of Indian Constitution through 42nd Amendment of the Constitution? First one, social. Second, secular. Third, integrity. Fourth, fraternity. Options A, 1 and 2 only. Option B, 2 and 4 only. Option C, 1, 2 and 3 only. Option D, all of the above. The answer is option 1, 2 and 3 only. That is social, secular and integrity. Explanation. The preamble has been amended only once for on 18th December 1976 during the emergency through 42nd Amendment. The word socialist and secular were added between sovereign and democratic. Unity of the nation were changed to unity and integrity of the nation. Sixth question. The idea of preamble in Indian Constitution is borrowed from Constitution of which of the following countries? Options A, Germany, B, Switzerland, C, Russia, D, United States of America. The answer is option D, United States of America. Explanation. Refer sources of Indian Constitution. The language of preamble of the Indian Constitution taken from Constitution of Australia, and the idea of preamble is adopted from the United States of America. Seventh question. Which of the following terms in our preamble means behaving as we are members of the same family? Options A. Justice. B. Democracy. C. Fraternity. D. Equality. The answer is option C. Fraternity. Explanation. Fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. The Constitution promotes these feelings of fraternity by system of single citizenship. Fundamental duties under Article 51A Clause E, it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among all the people and protect dignity of women. Eighth question. In which case Supreme Court held that preamble cannot be a part of Indian Constitution? Options A. Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. AR 1973. Option B. Golaknath versus State of Punjab. AR 1967. Option C. Burberry case. AR 1960. Dolga Tellis versus Bombay Municipal Corporation. That is AR 1986. The answer is option C. Burberry case. AR 1960. Explanation. Pre-Burberry case. AR 1960. SC 845, the Supreme Court held that Parliament does not have the power to give the territory of any state to another country under Article 3 of Indian Constitution. This case was regarding the Parliament's power to transfer the territory of Barubai to Pakistan. Through the Burberry case, the court stated that preamble is the key to open the mind of the makers, but it cannot be considered a part of the Constitution. Therefore, it is not enforceable in a court of law. Ninth question. The preamble of Indian Constitution is prepared by options A. Ambedkar, B. Jawaharlal Nehru, C. Sardar Swaran Singh, D. K. M. Munshi. The answer is option B. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Explanation. The preamble of Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. 10th question is, in which case Supreme Court held that preamble is part of the Constitution and is subjected to constitutional amendments under Article 368 subject to the Parliament as are any other provisions of the Constitution, but the basic structure cannot be altered. Options. Golaknath versus State of Punjab, AR 1967. Karak Singh versus State of UP, AR 1962. Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, AR 1973. Satwant Singh versus Assistant Passport Officer, AR 1967. The answer is Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, AR 1973. Explanation. Refer Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, AR 1973. 11th question is, which of the following statement is correct about the term secular in the preamble of Indian Constitution? Options. A. All religions are equal in the eyes of the government and the state does not uphold any particular religion as its official religion. B. Special importance to a religion related to minorities. C. One religion is promoted by the government. D. None of the above. Answer is option A. All religions are equal in the eyes of the government and the state does not uphold any particular religion as its official religion. Explanation. The term secular means that all religions in India get equal respect, protection and support from state. Refer Preamble of Indian Constitution. Refer 42nd Amendment of Indian Constitution. 11th question. The word sovereign mentioned in the preamble implies in which of the following statement? First one, India is an independent state. Second, India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation. Third one, India is free to conduct its own affairs, both internal and external. Fourth one, all of the above. Options A, 1 and 2 only. B, 2 only. C, 1, 2 and 3 only. D, 4. The answer is option D, all of the above. Explanation. The term sovereign means that India has its own independent authority and it is not a dominion of any other external power. Sovereignty means the independent authority of the state. The legislature has the power to make law that are subject to certain limitations. 13th question. The Constitution of India was handwritten by options Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, B. Balasahib Gangadhar Kher, C. Kanyalal Menaklal Munshi, D. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. The answer is option B. Option D. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada. Explanation. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada is the man handwrote the original Constitution of India. Raizada over his desk in the Constitution Hall for 6 months to handwrite 395 articles, 8 schedules, and a preamble in both English and Hindi. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to it handwritten in a flowing italic style. 14th question. Which of the following statement is correct related the legal nature of the preamble of the Constitution? First one, it is legally enforceable by courts. Second, the preamble of Indian Constitution is a part of our Indian Constitution, but it is not enforceable by courts. Third one, the court cannot pass orders against the government of India to implement the ideas in the preamble. Fourth one, it may be legally enforceable by courts in special circumstances. Options A, 1 and 4 are correct. Option B, only 1 is correct. C, 2 and 3 are correct. D, only 4 is correct. The answer is 2 and 3 are correct. Option C. Explanation. Preamble is an opening key to the Constitution. It is not legally enforceable by courts, but Supreme Court or judiciary can support to the preamble to clarify other provision of Constitution. Last question, 15th question. Which of the following statement are correct about the preamble of Indian Constitution? First one, the ideal of justice, social, economic, and political in the preamble draws its inspiration from Russian Revolution. Second, the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity in the preamble have been taken from French Revolution. Third one, the preamble to the Indian Constitution aims at securing dignity of individual, unity and integrity of the nation. Fourth one, the solemn resolution in the preamble of the Constitution of India is made in the name of the people of India. Options A, 1 and 2 are correct. B, only 4 is correct. C, 1, 2 and 3 are correct. D, 1, 2, 3 and 4 are correct. The answer is option D, 1, 2, 3 and 4 are correct. Explanation. Preamble of Indian Constitution ensures social, economic and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, fraternity by assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation.
Different news reported in Hindu, which I consider it has a constitutional importance. And the second issue reported by this Hindu, which is I think is a constitutional